Hey guys, welcome to my guide on the 1%. Today we're going to be taking a look at Ningguang's best DPS artifact builds for main and burst damage, and after that we're going to be talking about her best weapons and some basic team and combat tips that'll help improve your damage. As usual, timestamps are included in the description as well, and I just wanted to let you guys know before we get started that I do go live on Twitch a few days a week at twitch.tv/Braxophone to do live testing and general stream content, and I'd appreciate it if you dropped a follow and hit the like and sub button if you enjoy the video. So why should you build Ningguang? Ningguang is currently the strongest on-field Geo DPS unit, competing with Noelle. She does a lot of burst damage, she has AoE at Constellation 1, has some attacks that track enemies, generates shield shards, and gives Geo Resonance, which is the strongest in the game, and can put up a barrier that generates a ton of energy on cast and blocks annoying ranged attacks with her elemental skill. Ningguang is not only a powerful damage unit, but also provides external security for herself and your team, much like today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. In 2021, you can find almost any and all information online, and while most of your information is protected, hackers can be found literally anywhere. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, which encrypts your data such as internet traffic, IP address, and location. More simply put, it doesn't let hackers find you and steal your information. Think of ranged killer trolls as hackers and your VPN as a Ningguang shield. Surfshark allows you to connect to other servers and play region-locked games with your friends, such as Blue Protocol, where the beta is only in Japan, but if you're not in Japan, you would need a VPN to get access to it. It allows you to access lower-priced in-game purchases on some titles. You can change your Netflix regions for new shows, and this one's really big for me because as a big anime watcher, JP Netflix has a lot more anime than North American Netflix. You have access to Surfshark on unlimited devices, and it protects your information and location. If you want to get started with Surfshark, I actually have a discount code that'll give you 83% off with an extra 3 months for free, which is absolutely crazy. And you know, free VPNs never worked for me personally. Surfshark is ridiculously cheap in comparison to other VPNs while still maintaining that premium feeling with unlimited devices. So if you're in the market for a VPN, try out Surfshark. They have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to trying it out. If you're interested, the links will be at the top of the description. Make sure to use code Braxophone at checkout to get 83% off. Now back to the video. So let's take a look at her main DPS and burst DPS builds. We're going to start with main DPS. So the number one set that you want to run is 2 Archaic Petra and 2-piece Shimenawa or Gladiator. And you can replace either one of Shimenawa or Gladiator with each other. It's going to function the same. They both give 18% attack bonus, and Archaic Petra is going to give you 15% more geo damage. This is her second strongest combination for overall kit damage, and I'll talk about what the best one is, but this one is my favorite, and I think a lot of people would agree that this is the best one to run, because while it does lose out to a set that we're about to talk about at Constellation 0, no activation or field time requirement means that you can basically switch into Ningguang, use this, and switch out if you have to. It allows for flexibility. If you don't have any good Gladiator pieces, I would recommend farming the new domain for the Shimenawa set. Just 2 pieces of it will be fine, because resin-wise it'll be cheaper than farming for Gladiators, and then in addition to that, you're also going to need an Emblem of the Severed Fate set sometime in the future. It is a lot of characters best in slot if you have a good set for it, so that domain ends up being your best bang for your buck. However, that's not the end-all be-all set. We have actually a couple other sets that we can talk about for main DPS Ningguang. One of them is the 4-piece Shimenawa's Reminiscence set. So the benefit of 4-piece Shimenawa is that you get 50% more normal charged and plunge attack damage, which is honestly just a massive multiplier, and it's technically the best damage below C6, but when you get to C6, it becomes worse than the other sets. And that's because her C6 affects her burst damage, however Shimenawa doesn't buff burst damage. So while the Shimenawa set is her best set, I actually wouldn't recommend it because it changes her entire playstyle. It requires you to follow a very strict rotation to make sure that you're getting the damage bonus. Overall, I just think it's not really worth it unless you're a Ningguang main through and through, and that is the only character that you really want to focus on and have be your main. Outside of Shimenawa, we have the 4-piece Retracing Bolide set, and that has some caveats as well. It's going to give you 40% more normal and charged attack damage, which is similar to Shimenawa but less damage, but the nice thing is that the activation cost of Bolide is really low in comparison to Shimenawa, so all you have to do is be covered in a shield, and because Ningguang's Geo, she's going to be generating lots of shield shards. It also gives shield strength, which is going to be nice while you have her out on the field. However, it does get outdone by 2-piece Archaic Petra and 2-piece Shimenawa because you end up using her burst a lot, and again, Bolide doesn't buffer burst. And of course, as another honorable mention, you can use the 4-piece Archaic Petra set because you're going to get the 15% geo damage bonus, but its 4-piece set effect is kind of copium. So the TLDR of main DPS Ningguang is that your best in slot is going to be 2-piece Archaic Petra and 2-piece Shimenawa because it's the easiest one to use consistently, no activation cost, and just straight up good damage. But if you don't want to use Ningguang as a main DPS and you want to just have her out for burst, then the set I'm going to recommend to you is 2 Archaic Petra and 2-piece Noblesse. You can run this for main DPS, but it gets more out of her burst than it does out of autos because Noblesse Bless is going to give you that 20% ult damage bonus, so that's going to be the best in slot for burst DPS for her. Unfortunately, Emblem requires some insanely strong substats to run with her as a burst DPS, especially considering that her E, or elemental skill if you're not on PC, does a lot of damage and isn't going to actually get multiplied at all by Emblem. You can also just run 2 Petra, 2 Gladiator for burst DPS, and it's going to be about the same thing. As far as artifact stats go, for all sets you're going to want an attack percent Sands, geo damage Goblet, and crit rate or crit damage Circlet. You don't really want an ER main stat on Ningguang because she's able to generate her own particles on her skill cooldown, and in an ideal situation, your team will help you generate that energy for her. Also, when you get Ningguang C2, you can quickly generate energy with her because you can reset your shield, but I'll talk about that later. As for substats, you do want to try and get crit substats up to a 40-80 ratio or 1-2, followed by attack percent and energy recharge. Even though shields from shards are based off of your defense, that doesn't mean defense substats are ideal because you still want to be putting out the maximum damage with her. The return you get on defense substats isn't really worth it. So now that we've talked about artifacts and the best main and burst DPS ones, we're going to talk about weapons, specifically for main DPS first and then burst DPS. For main DPS Ningguang, all of the current 5-star catalysts in the game are going to be better than the 4-star ones just because of stats and all of their passives being really strong. Skyward Atlas will be the best, Memory of Dust will be second, and Lost Prayer will be third. And her best 4-star weapon is Dodoko Tails if you got that to Refinement 5, which you should have been able to during the 1.6 event if you were there for that. If you don't have Dodoko Tails R5, make sure to use Woodsith because it's going to be the next best option for her in terms of damage output. 2 out of 3 of the buffs make her do huge damage. Next up would be Solar Pearl because it lets you build crit and the passive is pretty decent, and after that comes Blackcliff and Royal. But if you're completely free to play and you don't have any of these options, make sure to run Map of Mare. That's going to be a good one for you just because of the effect on it, though the main stat does make me a little sad. And the spreadsheets to this will be linked in the description if you want to check those out. They'll also have lists of other weapons that I didn't talk about. But now moving on to burst DPS Ningguang, the weapon order changes a little bit. Skyward Atlas is going to be best in slot, followed by Memory of Dust and Lost Prayer. But for 4 stars, Solar Pearl actually ends up being better than Dodoko Tails because Dodoko requires field time, but as a burst DPS, you don't want to actually have Ningguang on the field for super long. Dodoko will be the best free-to-play option just because of stats, but on the gacha, Woodsith is going to be better than Dodoko, and Blackcliff and Royal are other good options as well, if you have the Star Glitter to spare. Once again, the links to the spreadsheet are in the description, so if you want to check those out, make sure to click on that. And now we can move on to general tips, and in this section, we're going to talk about some team stuff, talents, and rotation. As far as teams go, Ningguang is one of the very few Geo DPS units in the game, and she'll allow you to really utilize Geo Resonance by proccing reactions. You'll get a lot of shield shards with Ningguang from constant reactions, but I would still recommend running a shield with her since she likes to mostly stand still, because Noelle and Zhongli are both insanely good characters, and they help you easily activate Geo Resonance, and if you're feeling super spicy, you can pair Ningguang with Albedo for resonance and some more on-field damage. Outside of Geo Resonance, running one non-animo elemental DPS will help you with shield shard generation, and as a rule, I like to run off-field damage characters like Fischl and Jingcho since they're ranged and let Ningguang hang back. If you saw my free-to-play Hu Tao team video, I run Hu Tao, Ningguang, Jingcho, and Noelle, and that team works awesome. Off-field DPS also lets Ningguang be more selfish with field time, which is required for 2 of her best weapons, so those characters end up working the best with her. Next up is going to be talent priority, and I didn't go into talents or constellations, but I just want to clarify that if you're building Ningguang, you want to level her autos first and then her burst for main DPS. However, if you're using burst DPS, make sure to focus on her elemental burst and then focus on her elemental skill because that's the next source of her burst damage. Moving on now to rotation tips though, to get the most damage out of Ningguang on the field, you want to auto attack twice and then charged attack. So this is basically AACA. And to make that damage even better, you can animation cancel by moving your character at the same time. This means hold W on keyboard or forward on controller or mobile for 2 attacks, release during charged attack, and repeat. I'm not perfect at it, but essentially it shaves end lag off of your auto attack so you can use more autos in a short time. And with a Constellation 2, to generate more energy and do a quick burst of damage, you can use her shield followed by her burst, which destroys the shield, which then resets your cooldown and allows you to put down another shield for a quick burst of damage. Make sure that when you do put her shield up, that you walk through it to activate her Ascension 2 passive because that'll give her a geo damage bonus as well. It's about 12%. And that's it. That about sums up everything you need to know about how to build and play Ningguang. So as always, if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below to let the algorithm know that you liked the video. Let me know if you like Ningguang's kit or if you're building her in the comments. And once again, I do go live on Twitch a few days a week at twitch.tv/Braxophone, so make sure to check out the stream. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video, and definitely check them out if you're interested in keeping your data protected. Links will be in the description, and remember to use code Braxophone at checkout for 83% off. Thanks for watching, everyone.